Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Caravan of Garbage, where we're taking a look at some iconic Superman televisual series.
It's just occurred to me that perhaps when we speak about this particular topic, we're going to attract maybe an audience that isn't our regular audience.
People who are dead.
Yes, precisely. They're going to rise from their graves and they're going to be like, how dare you besmirch the memory of this wonderful...
Caravan of Garbage, you're a garbage.
You're a garbage. First of all, yes, we are a garbage.
Great.
That much is true. But also, this is a series that pokes a gentle amount of fun at various things, including many things that we like. And,
That's right.
It's just we're just doing a little recap, perhaps of a hidden gem or something like that.
Yeah.
That being said, these are
They're of their time.
they're of their time, aren't they?
I found a lot of this quite charming.
You can say charming, I'll say hokey. I did have fun watching these. We haven't even got to it. This is The Adventures of Superman, the American TV series from the early 50s, 1952.
Well, it started with Superman and the Mole Men, the feature film in 1951, which ran for 58 minutes and was actually theatrical.
Oh.
And then there was 6 seasons starting from 1952. And boy, what a run it had. And what a tale just behind the scenes of this, which we'll get into. Yeah. Please leave a like, by the way.
Because we are here, we're, scurrilous and here for the gossip. Because we are a garbage.
Correct.
As our viewers know.
Yeah, that's right. But it's interesting because watching a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff and reading about it, they did find an element of this really tricky, which some Superman writers do, that if you make him invincible and can see anybody from anywhere and do anything, where's the peril?
You make him stupid.
You make
him stupid a lot of the time is how you do it. Because your other option is create or use villains from the comics that are just as invincible as him, and then you have sort of anime style laser battles in the sky above Metropolis, but that's expensive.
You could just put a guy in a lead helmet.
You could do that.
There are no comic book villains in this.
No.
And you might be like, oh, are you exaggerating? No, there are literally no comic book villains in this.
Well, I mean...
Some of them may have become later.
Yeah, but the 3 episodes we watched specifically, but and you chose these...
Or based on kind of the different eras of this show, because it went through a few iterations and a few casting changes, and it made the switch to color. So we, of course, looked at the pilot called Superman on Earth. We then looked at the stolen costume from Season 2 and Perils of Superman in Season 6.
Yeah, right,
And also, I dabbled in and out of other kind of episodes and clips, etc.
Yeah.
But no, so the idea was that a lot of the writing in this, yes, he is stupid, but also you have to put somebody else in peril that he has to save.
Who's even more stupid.
Yeah, so he doesn't know what's happening or where they are, and he has to kind of be somewhere at a certain time.
Sure.
Et cetera, and so
I get
forth.
It.
Superman is, of course, played by George Reeves.
No relation to Christopher Reeve.
That's right.
Different last names.
Different set of movies that we already looked at all of them.
That's right.
Except for The Flash. He is technically in that. So is George Reeves. We'll get to it.
Oh, no.
I guess we just start with the origin story of Superman on Earth. And a lot of it is just what you know.
Yes.
Council of Kryptonians being like, we don't think the planet's got to explode. And one guy's like, I think it might.
Well, what do you know? You're just a scientist.
Yeah.
And presumably up till this point, we've believed in your scientific research, and that's why you're in this council. But on this particular, we mock you. Look, what I would say is they've got 25 minutes and $25 and a ham sandwich to make to cover the entire Superman origin. And for that, I think they did a pretty good job.
Absolutely.
There is a moment, of course, where it is pretty much stated outright that there would be room in the rocket for both the baby Kal-El and his mum, and his mum's just like, nah.
I'd rather just explode here.
Yeah, I'd rather just die on Krypton with my husband.
Well, Jor-El also was initially like, why don't you get in the rocket? And she's like, don't we have a baby? And he's like, oh yeah.
Better get the baby. Better get the baby in another room. And let me tell you, that baby's room, spectacular. Didn't spare a Kryptonian cent on that. It's just... Boy, it's luxurious. Not this room, which is white.
Well, you did a bit of research on the cost of this show.
I did. This was low budget even for its time. On average, each episode cost $15,000.
Yeah.
And if you adjust for inflation, that's $180,000 an episode, which sounds like a lot, but when you consider the CW's Superman and Lois cost $5 million an episode.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it only looks a little bit better.
They look the same to me because I'm caught up in the magic of it.
Absolutely.
Well, they got around a lot of the cost-cutting methods of this by obviously reusing a lot of shots of Superman flying.
Yep.
Initially, they did a lot of wire work with George Reeves, but he fell once, a wire snapped, and he went, I'm not doing that. So they just have him bust in and out of walls.
That's
and,
right.
Like leap on a little trampoline either in frame or out of frame, which I think absolutely works.
I mean, in frame is worse, especially if you can see the trampoline.
Sure. But also, for the season, what they do, they'd shoot all the dialogue scenes for the entire season at once. And then you capture all that at the one time and then you spread it out over the season. And that's why they're always wearing the same clothes.
Yeah, sure.
Because then you can kind of chop and change what you're doing. And then they did the more special effects kind of stunt heavy kind of work.
The stunt heavy work.
All the stunt heavy work, Mason. But yeah. But I tell you what, again, the origin is pretty much the same. Well, his parents are called Eben and Sarah Kent.
This is his Earth
His Earth origin, I should say, yeah. And it even has Eben Kent having a heart, or Eben Kent having a heart attack.
That actor, uncredited in the show.
What?
Yeah. Other people uncredited. Little Jeffrey Silver, who plays little Clark Kent.
He's quite good, actually.
I thought he was acting his little heart out. He's got his little greaser denim dungarees and his little leather jacket.
Why am I different?
Yeah.
Why am I strong? Why can I see through this rock?
Shut up.
Okay.
I mean, it'd be a whole new universe. It wouldn't if they continued the continuity of Clark Kent's parents being Eben and Sarah. Because then when Batman is on the verge of murdering Superman in that movie we all know about with a kryptonite spear, how's he going to relate to him? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can't. My mum also had a name. You know? Different.
Sure.
But still, you know.
A name.
Some people have mums without a name.
So true.
Yeah.
So after season 1, though, there was a slight casting change, which you probably noticed because she looks dramatically different and her hair is a different color. Lois Lane.
Well, you don't know that in black and white, do you?
Well, eventually you do. But Lois Lane, played by Phyllis Coates, was taken over by Noelle Neal. Her and Kirk Allen actually played Lois Lane's parents in Superman the movie.
Oh, that's
You
right.
see them on the train together. Kirk Allen, of course, played Superman in the previous iteration of this character.
Yeah. I think the actor who plays Jimmy Olsen is also in a subsequent thing, right?
Oh, interesting.
I think he's in it's on the screen. It's on the screen. There it is.
Could be related or it might not be related.
There's the clip.
But the reason also they got Noelle Neal.
Cheaper?
No, she also played Lois in the Kirk Allen version.
Oh, I see.
So they're like,
right.
this is a seamless transition, and I guess it is.
James, here's a seamless transition
I love
for you. I just forgot to note, I love the opening sequence to this. You know, it's got the classic opening.
Man.
It's got the classic opening of like, he's faster than a speeding bullet. He's
Bang!
more powerful than a locomotive.
Choo-choo.
He can leap tall buildings in a single bound.
Jump.
Should we show Superman doing any of those things? Nah, just the stock shot of a gun
Shot
firing,
of the
I guess.
building.
Should we have him flying past the bullet really fast? Nah, don't worry about it. Should we have him pushing the train back? Nah, just show a train. It's fine. Buildings, people have seen, but this is all relatable stuff.
The train's also not going that fast.
But it's going powerfully, isn't it?
I guess it is. That's a really good point. It wasn't faster than a train. It was more powerfully than a train.
And then he's there in his big suit with his big shoulders. That he finally graduates to being adult Superman, and he's
absolutely. God, he's a very adult man, this version of Superman.
Yeah.
I know one of the things that George Reeves didn't like about this, especially towards the end, he took on the role, I think initially at like 38, and he was like mid-40s by the time it wrapped up. And it wrapped up because he was potentially murdered and or killed himself. We will get to that. But yeah, it definitely got to the point where he's like, I don't know, man. I don't know about this. Jumping around all the time. And
did this have an audience of children and adults?
It did, but he perceived it as just kids.
Right.
But that was also something he took really seriously.
Yeah, right.
There is talk that he didn't like it and he got typecast and there are other things that he wanted to do.
Yeah.
But he always, he wouldn't smoke around kids. If they thought he was Superman, he wouldn't take that away from them.
That was difficult in the 1950s
my
to not
God.
smoke around kids. My goodness.
Absolutely, yeah. They used to cut off the S of the old Superman costumes when they got worn down and give them to the kids.
Oh.
So Jack Larson, who played Jimmy Olsen, he said he only heard him complain about it once when he said being dressed as Superman was like being in a monkey suit. But most of the time, very professional, genuinely respected what he was doing and the audience, which wasn't just kids also.
He only complained once, but he did it for 6 years. He started And then he stopped all of a sudden.
Yeah, boy, you would have. So, my favorite episode
Go on.
of the 3 we watched.
Okay, well, we watched the first one, obviously, the origin story.
You get it, etc.
Pretty good, and then he shows up, and the Perry White's like, "Who's this young kid? I'm not giving you a job." And then he's like, "What if I reported on something really amazing?" And then by chance, there's a guy hanging off a balloon or something, and then Superman shows up, and then Lois Lane's like, "You son of a bitch. How'd you get there first and get this scoop? I'll kill you." Well, good luck.
Yeah, try and shoot him. He'll just stand there.
Yeah, I'm indestructible, but I'm stupid. So, good luck for the next... Is this... Because this continuity, she would never have... Does she discover his secret?
I don't believe so, no.
And she would have also...
I mean, that was also the comics at this point, right?
Yeah. I mean, they didn't get... Superman and Lois didn't get married till, like, the 90s, So at this point, these characters, and therefore the actors, are trapped in this kind of limbo of... This status quo limbo where nothing ever changes.
There is an episode where Lois Lane dreams that she marries Superman. That's the entire episode. And then she wakes up. But even in that, Clark Kent and Superman are different people to her.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, everybody had a hat and glasses in the 40s. What does anybody look like?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Everybody was obscured by cigarette smoke all day.
Anyways, again, the second episode we watched was the stolen costume.
Yes.
Where Superman arrives home to discover that his secret closet has been raided.
Oh, my God.
And what has been taken? His special Superman suit, which is indestructible, we find out.
That's right, because it was made from his baby blanket that he arrived to Earth on, which is true in a lot of these Superman continuities. It's a really big closet to hold just one thing.
Yeah.
And the guy's just like...
Oh, there it is.
There it is. And then he gets shot on his escape, and he goes to his criminal buddies, and they're like, "We got Superman's suit. Let's find out who Superman is, and we'll blackmail him."
Yeah. We'll blow him up with a bomb, maybe.
We'll blow him up with a bomb, and if he doesn't die from the bomb, we'll know he's Superman.
We'll give him a call.
But, of course, Superman, he's
ahead of them. Don't worry about that. If you think Superman is going to drop the ball on this.
Because he's got inherent Kryptonian superintelligence. So, this isn't a problem for him.
Yeah.
So what he does is...
And he can see through anything.
He can see through walls. He could see across the city. Couldn't he just,
He could listen out.
He could listen out
for the rustling...
of his Kryptonian fabric. It'd be the only one on Earth.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be? But he takes the wise first step as he engages the services of a private investigator, and he goes, "Oh, my apartment got robbed, and I need you to find the thing that they took." "What'd they take, Clark?" "I can't say."
From where?
Just around my house. Just around it.
So I
can't say.
What am I looking? Where am I going?
No, I can't say. It's just this grown-ass man, this 38 but looks 50 man, just panicking.
Also bearing in mind that they do become more family-friendly as they go. They thought they were too dark, and it was because of episodes like this, like trying to kill Superman with a bomb.
I mean, it hasn't gotten that dark thus far, James.
No, that's true. Well, there is that moment also where he finally catches up with the criminals and his friend, the detective, is in there. So what he does, he runs in at super speed.
And I thought it quite a good super speed for 1952
really good.
Or whatever. And instead of knocking out the two criminals behind this ball, he just socks his friend in the jaw.
Yep.
So he's unconscious, and then he's like, "You two know I'm Superman, so I'm gonna maroon you on the top of an Arctic mountain of some kind.
Until you learn a lesson, or I'll just leave you
or
here.
until I figure out what to do with you next."
Yeah.
Right?
Because they're like, "Superman doesn't kill. You can't kill us." And he's like, "Well, yeah, I guess technically."
Yeah. What about a fate worse than death? What about that? But no, he's like, "There's a cabin up here. You can't see it." Because we'd have to build one for the show, and we don't want to do that.
Yeah.
We don't want to get a guy to draw a matte painting of it. So there's a cabin over there.
Yep.
I'll come up and I'll bring you some firewood and stuff and whatever
Probably some
you need.
beans.
Yeah, you can live here for years until, I think of something. But until my Kryptonian superintelligence finally kicks in. Well, it's got to eventually.
Yeah.
And I'll be back. And then he leaves, and they're just like, "We got to escape down this mountain that this Superman told us we couldn't escape from. Let's do it. Let's try it anyway." And then it cuts to... Then it cuts to Clark Kent in the room with the detective. The detective's like, "So they fell off a cliff, hey?" And he's like, "Yep, they did." Yep, they fell off a cliff.
And you might be like, "Oh, is that actually what happened?" Yes.
Yeah.
It turns out it is. Also, terrible move by them.
To their death, by the way.
To their death, yeah. Terrible move by them also, because if they did get down, he would just put you back.
Right?
Yeah.
It was like that scene in one of the Nolan Batman movies where the Wayne Enterprises employee is like, "I think Bruce Wayne's Batman." And Lucius Fox is like, "He's a billionaire who beats people up. Why are you doing this? It's the worst mistake of your life."
You want to tell everybody? You should.
Yeah. He'll put you on the top of a mountain.
Yeah.
He'll put you on Superman's death mountain.
So a few things happened after this season. They started filming in color.
But we learned they didn't
Yeah.
broadcast it in color. They just filmed
Until
it in...
1965.
Yeah.
It was basically future-proofing the series.
I
But that
see,
meant
right.
also they had to rebuild all the sets because certain things show up in monochrome, not as well in color,
yeah.
etc. They also gave him a different suit with more foam rubber padding in it.
And the cape sort of hangs off at the back.
It's a deep V.
It's a deep V.
But at the back.
Yeah.
And apparently also this suit, because of the foam rubber, he could only be in it for like half an hour at a time and then he'd break out in a sweat and a rash. I mean, nowadays, you're sewing Ben Affleck into a Batman suit. He doesn't pee for 3 days when he's in that.
Yeah.
The Superman Batman suits have never been comfortable.
Yeah.
It's good to know.
And they smell of pee now.
That's right, yeah. And you also feel the distinct shift because also at this point, Kellogg's were sponsoring episodes.
Brought to you by Kellogg's, the
That's
cereal
right.
brand that wants you to stop touching yourself. But you won't stop.
And what's interesting, they ran a series of commercials for this starring Jimmy Olsen and Clark Kent having breakfast together and being like, I love Kellogg's cornflakes and I love not touching ourselves
Wait,
or each other.
where are they eating breakfast? Whose house?
That's a great question.
At the Daily Planet?
Good question.
Yeah.
No.
At Jimmy's house?
I
At
guess.
Clark's house?
Maybe.
Jimmy's staying over?
I guess.
That's great. They're pals.
I agreed.
Yeah.
Superman's pal, Jimmy Olsen.
That's
I want
right.
to talk about that. But also, Lois Lane couldn't appear in that because that would imply that she was sleeping with Clark Kent.
That's right.
But Jimmy Olsen.
So it is at Clark Kent's house.
Apparently not.
In his secret closet. Mm-hmm. Wow.
Something to think about.
I was just going to say, that's the opposite of the 1960s Batman TV series.
Yes.
Where they had to introduce a woman so it didn't seem like they were gay. Mm-hmm. Wow. They'll never get it right.
No, I don't
They're
think
all
so.
gay.
Yeah.
Get it in your heads. All these DC characters are gay, and
Every
we love that.
single one of them.
We love that.
We do love that.
That's right.
Yeah. So the last episode we watched was Perils of Superman.
In which Clark Kent and the other members of the Daily Planet news crew are menaced by a series of what I would consider to be silver sperms. Are these the bad sperms you're always talking about?
I'm always talking about it. We're both talking about it.
Yeah, we're both talking about it. That's true. So in this episode, a man shows up. We don't see his face. He shows up at the Daily Planet, and
But surely Superman can see his face because
Well,
he can see through anything.
no, because it's revealed.
Yeah.
Well, at first the secretary, the personal assistant, she's shocked.
She can't believe it.
By this guy. We can't see his face.
Who is he?
Who's this guy? And then he shows up. He goes into Perry White's office, and they're all shocked because he's got a big lead mask on. Looks like a sperm.
Yeah.
Or a dong.
Or a big dong, yeah.
Big dong. And he's like, Superman can't. I know Superman's powers. He can't see through lead.
He captured all my mates, put them in prison, and they're like, well, weren't they bad? He's like, yeah, but I didn't appreciate that.
Principle of the thing,
Yeah.
obviously. So I'm gonna get gevenge on him, and I'm gonna get revenge on all you guys.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm here right now. I'm here right now, and there's a lot of you. And I'm just a man in a metal dong helmet, just in regular clothes. I've got a plan. There's other guys dressed exactly like me, and they're in the
10-ish.
city. But I cannot stress enough, I'm here right now.
Yeah.
And there's like
This is
four-
my idea.
This is 4 of you, and I don't know this, but one of you is Superman. And you could easily take me, but you're just not going to for some reason. And then he leaves, and Superman's like, oh, better figure out what's going on here. And then he goes down, and in an interesting sort of cowboy switch-esque thing, they've clearly only got like 2 guys.
Oh, it's very clever.
And
yeah.
they just come in and out of.
Yeah.
They've got 2 paper mache sperm dong heads.
Yeah.
And they just sort of come in and out of different doorways and
very good.
alleyways and stuff. It's pretty impressive, but it's like, man, you've got superhuman speed.
Yeah.
I reckon you could take them all right now.
Also, you could identify these dudes from their dongs. You can see through their clothing.
I think
They're not going to have the same dongs, Mason.
Oh, I thought you meant the dong head.
No
They're
dongs.
regular dongs.
Regular dongs.
I think you could also find them in the city by just x-raying in a sort of a wide
Yeah.
swath and looking for the dong-shaped metal structures that you can't see through.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely. Or
Yes.
let your friends get kidnapped. Classic traps.
Classic traps.
Train tracks.
Yep.
Vat
of acid.
Vat of acid tied to a big turd going
Yeah.
into a buzzsaw.
That's right.
I got to say, I love
Acid in the car.
Oh,
Acid on the brakes as
Jimmy
well.
Olsen acid in the car. That's right.
That's right.
I love Clark Kent captured, tied up, dipped into a vat of acid, reappear as Superman. I think that's so cool.
Yeah.
Because, the Kryptonian suit, as we've established from season 2,
Yes.
it's indestructible,
Indestructible.
Mason.
I wondered if he was going to emerge like shirtless, little something.
little something for the boys.
For everybody, for the boys, certainly, yeah. But no, he didn't. It's the one time he didn't leave it in his closet. It's the one time he wore it under his regular clothes.
Yeah. Well, after what happened to him, I guess.
I guess that's probably true. He's never taken that off. This is also when I noticed that at this point, they've switched Jimmy Olsen from like an enthusiastic cub reporter. It's the same actor, but they're like, we need a real dumb guy.
Mm-hmm.
We need a real dumb Jerry Lewis style guy who's all, right? You know
when he's driving and the steering wheel comes off and he's fumbling with the pedals like they're covered in butter and grease.
Yes.
It's so funny. I love it. I think Jack Larson is fantastic as Jimmy Olsen. And his performance and the popularity of this character, it led to the comic Superman's pal, Jimmy Olsen.
That's great.
That's pretty cool.
Which
right?
led to Darkseid. Because
What?
he debuts in Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen.
Get out of
That's
here.
his first
I didn't
appearance.
know that.
Yeah, that's a Jack Kirby joint.
Huh.
I'll tell you that much. I was thinking to myself, because you know how Batman 66 has a spin-off comic where he, that's been made in the present day, and he's encountered like modern day versions of his own villains, like there's a Bane 66 and so on and so forth.
Isn't George Reeves in that version?
That's the Christopher Reeve version.
No, Christopher Reeve version is in the Keaton universe.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe then. I would just love to see. Give me a comic book version where it's George Reeves fighting modern day version. So he's fighting Doomsday, but it's just like a guy roughly his size in like a 50s boxing warm-up outfit with a bucket on his head or whatever.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah. Oh, that's good stuff. So let's talk a bit about George Reeves.
Okay.
Oh, he rescues everyone. Let's talk a bit about George
Easily.
Reeves. Yeah. So he wanted to quit after the third season, and they thought, well, let's bring back Kirk Allen, who's already played Superman. He's a familiar face.
Okay. And if that doesn't work, Kirk Douglas.
Yeah.
If that doesn't work, Michael Douglas.
That doesn't work. Doug Mulray.
Sure, from Australia's Naughtiest Home Videos.
Correct.
Okay.
He apparently turned it down, and Reeves also, he tried to produce his own series called Port of Entry, but he couldn't get financing for it, so he agreed to go back and continue with Superman, and he was then paid $5,000 per week.
Okay.
But they only shot 8 weeks a year, so decent salary.
For 8 weeks a year. But then, of course, and this was very much the era of typecasting.
Yeah.
Once, these studios felt that once an actor was cast as a particularly iconic role as he was, he's one of the most notable examples of, he found it then quite difficult to get work after that. So, great $5,000 a week for 2 months of the year. But, yeah.
Which is worth a lot of money, I guess, because when you look at when you crunch the numbers like we did earlier.
That's right.
We definitely did that,
If you put that in a mutual fund, you'd have enough to make an episode of Superman and Lois these days. The later seasons when they drop the budget.
Yeah, obviously, yeah. But, of course, as mentioned, famously, he passed away. So they were gearing up for the 7th season.
Mm-hmm. 7 times the charm.
Agreed. And again, he was pretty much in it at this point, and apparently he was talking about directing episodes, and those around him said that there wasn't really this kind of air of melancholy about him, which is not to say that he didn't kill himself, because people often aren't like, I'm sad, I'm going to kill myself. And,
I am.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm doing it for attention.
And we love you for it.
Yeah, thanks, man. People will stick around to the end of most of these where I'm just sooking and going, I bet no one would care if I just left
we care, Mason.
I bet no one would care.
So, yeah, he shot himself.
Yeah.
Well, that is the story. And there's also other stories. And if you've seen the movie Hollywoodland, they cover a bit of that in this, where, of course, Ben Affleck plays George Reeves. Superman's in it.
Here's where the picture is.
He played Superman and Batman.
Superman and Batman.
And Martha's in it as well.
And the accountant.
Accountant. He was the accountant.
And
Paycheck.
He was in Paycheck, yes.
Yeah,
that's right.
Not Payback.
It's another iconic guy he's been.
Sum of All Fears. He was Jack Ryan.
Yeah.
There we go.
He was Summer All Fears.
So, yeah, there was rumors that maybe he had mob ties. There was also talk it was an accident. Mm-hmm. It was ruled a suicide, but apparently there were no fingerprints on the gun or gunpowder residue on him. But also, this was an era where detective work was bad.
Correct, yes.
And they just probably went in the room and went, oh, he probably shot himself. And maybe he did.
Maybe he did.
But we don't know at this point. So, yeah, there you go. But in the aftermath of this, producers weren't like, let's wrap this show up.
They were like, let's do a spin-off, right?
Well, there was a number of things that they tried. First of all, they were like, why don't we make Jimmy Olsen the main character and then use stock footage of Reeves and a stunt double?
Oof.
But Jack Larson, of course, who played Jimmy Olsen, was like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah. Perhaps my stupid alter ego Jimmy Olsen would do that, but I am a man of principle.
That's right. They also tried an Adventures of Superboy spin-off in 1961 starring Johnny Rockwell. Only the pilot of that was filmed. It was similar in tone to this. And then they tried, and the pilot for this was never broadcast, and it looks absolutely insane. It's The Adventures of Super Pup, where it's little people in dog costumes on the same sets as the series.
Oh, no.
And it's just the same thing, but everybody's a dog?
Huh.
They did one episode.
Just...
Never broadcast.
Was it Crypto? Just a dog.
Just a dog.
But he's Dog Superman.
Yeah. Well, they're
Lois Lane?
all dogs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dog Perry White.
I can't stress enough, Mason, they were all dogs.
Dogs with dongs. Dogs with metal dongs.
Just dogs, straight up.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
It's really interesting.
I agree. It is really interesting.
But they were actually little people.
Yeah.
Wow.
What a world we lived in.
That's right.
And continue to live in. Yeah. Anyways, you know what it's time for?
What's it time for?
It's time for the Adventures of Trivia, Superman adjacent trivia. Here we go.
They hadn't quite gotten the
John Williams score.
Yes, they hadn't gotten that.
Or the Hans Zimmer one.
Correct. They hadn't gotten to either of those yet. That's right. That's right.
You're not wrong.
Or the Three Doors Down song, Kryptonite.
Yeah. So here's somebody who this had a big influence on, Mark Hamill. Huge fan of this series.
Oh, really?
So yeah, that's a lot of fun, isn't it?
He's the voice of the Joker.
He's
baby.
the voice of the Joker, baby. Superman also guest starred in an episode of I Love Lucy, which is a bit of fun.
Right.
It's Lucy and Ricky Ricardo, and Superman's like, I'm here too.
Yes.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean, that was like the biggest show of the time as well. Yeah. So yeah, makes sense.
And she produced Star Trek.
She did. That's right.
Making all sorts of things happen. Look
Making
at all these
moves.
links to other pop cultural icons.
We can do it. We didn't even have to think
I
about
don't
it.
have to think about it.
You know, some people, like, sometimes you make mistakes. Well, sometimes we don't. Sometimes we make incredible links.
That's right.
And we have brains like beautiful minds. We're
Isn't
always
that
drawing
true?
on glass with chalk.
Beautiful mind. Russell Crowe. Jor-El.
This is
Made
good
another
stuff.
beautiful mind link. And that's beautiful.
Mind.
Mind.
Bill Kennedy received $350 for performing the opening narration used in all episodes. One time.
One time, yeah, of course, yeah. Sure. That's pretty stock standard for any, financial deal involving the Superman characters.
Absolutely. You don't get a goddamn thing.
That's right.
Yeah.
Probably the contract he signed got auctioned on eBay for like $400,000 a few decades later.
Also, if we're talking cameos, Mason.
Yes.
Like we were earlier.
We were.
Noel Neill and Jack Larson, they also had minor roles in the 2006 Superman film Superman Returns.
That's what I'm thinking of. I think he was the bartender.
Yes, he plays a bartender.
That's what I thought.
And Noel Neill plays the multi-millionaire wife of Lex Luthor.
The one he inherits
The
the
boat
boat
from, etc., correct.
He's in Superman has gone off into space and he has carte blanche to do whatever evil he wants. And he just manages to get an
Just
old
in
lady
time.
to will him a boat. But he still has to fake her signature.
God, he's good, isn't he?
Kevin Spacey, do you think he's
Oh,
good?
no, he's bad. But at least he's back,
What?
which is also bad.
I agree. I agree.
God. We should have a crook bloke alert.
Yep.
Just in case we forget to say it. The alarm just sounds.
Can it be? I think it should be a silent alarm.
Oh, okay, yeah,
Because
yeah,
then,
yeah.
because people listen to these to go to sleep and stuff.
Yeah.
We just have it in the corner, just a little winky
Yeah.
light.
We should get that ready for when we do Morbius.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Anyways, you might be like, what's the future of George Reeves' Superman?
What do you mean?
Well, he's in The Flash.
Oh, he is, isn't he? Yeah.
Ghoulish cameo. Horrible fucking movie.
Which also established that the Jay Garrick
Yes.
version of The Flash is in his universe,
Correct.
I think?
Now, he was modeled after editor Jason Ballantyne. So he's not based on a particular actor who played The Flash.
How'd they build him? AI?
It's CGI. It's all
Okay.
CGI. I mean, George Reeves is also CGI. It's just just the idea of like taking the legacy of this man who clearly suffered for his art form, but took it seriously, met a tragic demise, and just went, fuck, we'll just put him in
Yeah,
this.
that'll be good content, won't
Yeah.
it? That'll be a little Easter egg for the boys.
And you know what people also love? Christopher Reeve.
They do.
But as
Also
this,
a ghoulish CGI monster, yeah.
hate it.
Yeah.
Fucking hate it.
Disrespectful.
Yeah,
The most disrespectful thing in the last few years?
probably not. Well, off the top of my head, I can't think of
Put
something
it in the
else.
comments, folks. If you the Alien Romulus one, but I think
at least that one had like family approval, and I guess the Reeve one did also. But yeah, it's all bad. I don't like any of it. Anyways, if you do want to see these videos early, guess what?
What?
You can see the one we're doing early next week
Whoa.
on Lois and Clark: The New Adventures of Superman.
Oh, come on, man.
If you head over to bigsandwich.co.
I say that, but I watched every episode when I was a
Oh,
kid.
wow.
So, you know.
Then you're going to love watching every episode again.
Oh, no. How about that Terry Hatcher, hey?
I tell you what, Mason.
Oof, what a pistol.
Desperate Housewives, etc. Also,
Agreed.
James Bond, other things.
Yes.
Seinfeld episodes.
That's right.
Yeah. Not only do early videos go up there, we also have movie commentaries, we do video game let's plays, we do bonus podcasts. If you're interested in any of that, it's a lot of fun, isn't it? It helps support this channel and keep it ad-free. There's no sponsors coming in here. There's no Kellogg cereal. There's no anti-masturbatory cereal ads that we do here.
We would refuse.
No, we wouldn't.
No,
Kellogg's, just don't. You know what we're talking about. Don't do it.
Keep your hand off it. Keep your hand off it and on a spoon, eating a cornflake.
Anyways, thank you so much to Ben and Lawrence for the edit.
Thank you, Ben and Lawrence.
And we'll see you in the next one. Up, and away, or whatever.
That's right. Oh, Eva Longoria, Desperate Housewives.
Yeah.
John Wick producer.
Whoa.
Yeah.
You're a beautiful mind.